I'm going to show you a completely streamlined apple cake. It's really easy and it is totally for grown-ups. You start with a couple of apples, peeled and quartered also of course, and about a cup of sugar. When I first started making this cake, I was using more sugar than that, but I thought it got too sweet, so I'm back down to a cup. You can use a cup and a half if you really have a sweet tooth. You process this until it looks like applesauce. Watch. Look at those pieces of apples dance as they wait to be chopped to bits. See that? Liquid. Now add cold butter, a chunk at a time. Butter has to be cold, otherwise it's just going to sort of melt and become greasy. This way it really gets integrated, and it's going to look kind of curdly and not super appealing. You can use any apples you want for this. It's not going to matter that much. You want something with flavor. These were Golden Delicious, which are about as good as you can get these days. Okay, once the butter's in, now we're going to add an egg at a time. We just want to incorporate one egg at a time here. It's a very pretty color. 12 tablespoons of butter will do that. Now about a half a cup of milk. And a couple of cups of flour, a little salt, a little baking powder. We add this a bit at a time, not all at once. And as always, when you're working, not always, but when you're working with cakes, anything you want tender in the end, you want to work the flour as little as possible so you don't overdevelop the gluten. But you have to be really quick. I still see a couple of tiny bits of flour, but that's well incorporated enough. I don't want to risk toughening the flour. I said this was a grown-up cake, and for more reasons than one. You can't give this little beater to your little Johnny to lick. And it just goes in a 350-degree oven for 30, 40 minutes. Now, this is sort of the cool part. Instead of icing this cake, we're going to cover it basically with booze. We're going to really douse it in this delicious soak of butter, sugar, and calvados, or brandy, or use any liquor you want. Bourbon would be really good. A little more butter, only 3 or 4 tablespoons this time. A cup of booze. And about a cup of sugar. This is not health food. Someone is going to say, well, how cheap can I go in the booze department here? I would say, if you're willing to drink it, put it in here. So if you're like, Thunderbird type, you want to put that in? Go right ahead. So we're going to cook this until the butter melts and the whole thing thickens. In the meantime, I'm going to split a vanilla bean right down the middle. So when that's thick and everything's combined, scrape the seeds out of the vanilla bean. And then throw the pod in also. When it cools off, don't forget to fish the pod out. So you want to cool the cake, not to room temperature, but so it's just warm. You want to cool the soak so that it's not hot anymore. And then you want to pour the soak over the cake. And that is going to, well, as its name implies, that soak is going to soak right in there. We're going to come back in about an hour. That's about how long you should let this sit for the liquid to be absorbed into the cake, and we'll take a look at it then. As you can see, everything has been absorbed. You can take this whole thing out. You turn it over, come out beautifully. I'm too lazy to do that. I just want a piece. See how soaky that is? It's great stuff. You taste the apples, very cakey, and then this wonderful kick. Boozy apple cake. It's delicious.